guys, and welcome to my next episode of the Evolution of Halo concept art analysis video that I let you guys choose, my subscribers. I did a poll on my community tab letting you guys choose the next concept art analysis video, and the ODST won by a landslide. And what I didn't know when I put that on the poll is that the ODST have incredibly hard concept art to find pre-Halo 2, because as you guys know, the ODSTs were introduced in Halo 2, and it was so difficult to find concept art, the actual drawings that I usually use in these types of videos for the ODSTs. I went through the internet everywhere I could find. I went through my library of nerdy books. I went through The Art of Halo, which is basically the making of Halo 2, which is the perfect book, you would think. I actually find a lot of information that I use in these videos in these books when I can't find it on the internet. The Halo Encyclopedia, I went through them all and I found stuff. Like, I'll just say that the things I did find were incredibly, let's just say they're interesting and cool, and I put them all into this video. So this is going to be a little bit different than the normal concept art analysis videos that I've done, but this one is going to be pretty special because there's a lot of really cool stuff that I found out about the ODSTs that I think you guys will enjoy. And just in case you're new to the channel, this is you stopping by live from my basement, I make new Halo videos every single week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new Halo videos, like I said, every single week. And if you find yourself liking the video, be sure to like it so that it helps the video reach more Halo fans. Well, let's look at some concept art and get this video on the road. And so kicking this video off with our first piece of concept art, we get this guy. And I know you might be thinking this doesn't look very ODST, but this is ODST concept art pre-Halo 2, which means it was very hard to find. But there's actually a lot to look at here with this guy, so let's just dive in. First of all, you might notice that his color scheme is completely wrong. He's got a lot of tan pieces in here, and he's actually got a lot of exposed skin. He's not wearing gloves. I can see forearms. I can see the dude's neck, and that's crazy. The ODSTs don't look anything like that. But one thing you can really tell here with the ODSTs is that the main inspiration, because I found a lot of quotes from the designers who designed the ODSTs for Halo 2 and what they really wanted out of them, because what they wanted was a UNSC soldier that was human, that was better than a Marine, but not as good as a Spartan, but just as badass. And that's the ODST. I just described the ODSTs. But in order to get to that, they wanted to give them a more bulky, badass look, and that's what you can see with this concept art here. He's got a more tactical looking vest, way more detail in his armor than what the standard Marines had in Halo Combat Evolved and in Halo 2, and that this guy would stand out amongst the Marines. But one thing that they wanted to do is that they knew that the ODSTs needed to have some sort of helmet, and they were trying to design what kind of helmet they wanted for these guys, and pretty early on they decided, hey, there's concept art for Master Chief that we did not use, for a helmet for him that we decided was too scary. Let's slap it on these guys and paint it black, and that's this signature ODST helmet, which I just thought was so cool, that this classic ODST helmet that we all know and love is actually Master Chief concept art, a helmet that they thought was too scary for the Chief. They just painted it black and gave it to the ODST, which I just think is so freaking interesting. But going back to this piece of concept art here, one thing that this guy does have that is actually in every piece of concept art I found, and is actually in the final build of the ODSTs in Halo 2, is this dude's knee and shin guards. They are one of the only black pieces of armor that this guy's had, but this signature shape is the knee and shin guards that the ODSTs have throughout all these concept arts, and is actually in the final build of the ODSTs in Halo 2. I just thought that's really cool because they decided this is staying. This and the design of the helmet is good. Everything else we're going to change, so let's move on to the next one. So here we are at the second piece of concept art with this guy, and you might be thinking this is actually pretty close to the mark, to the final look of the ODSTs, and you're right, there's actually a lot here that is in the right direction. First of all, his armor is completely black, which is the way it is with the ODST. They covered all the exposed skin, the dude's wearing gloves, and he's actually carrying a battle rifle that looks pretty close to a battle rifle. But one thing that is not right here is actually that the clothes that he's wearing underneath, though no longer tan, there's no camouflage like the ODSTs do wear in Halo 2 and in Halo 3. The clothes they wear beneath their armor is actually camouflage, and that is not shown here. He's got these like little tubey looking things from the back of his helmet going to his back. I have no idea what those are, but for the most part, this is a pretty close look at the ODST that's from the conceptual phase that is really closely resembles the final look of the ODSTs in Halo 2. Now this next piece of concept art right here is, I believe, the same phase of concept art, because he looks almost identical to the one we just looked at, but I just love this dude's pose. He just looks like he's like in a western or something ready to duel, and I love it. But one thing I love about this concept art is his battle rifle is a very early look at the battle rifle, I believe. It looks like a pulse rifle from the Aliens movies, which I just think is so cool. One thing I do find interesting about this, though, is that battle rifle actually has a sling that's just flailing in the wind there. But if you look at concept art for Halo 3 ODST, there's actually a shot of an ODST slinging his rifle onto his back and grabbing a Spartan laser to shoot at a Wraith up the street. And I always wondered, how cool would it be if the ODSTs actually had to sling their rifles off to the side instead of wearing them on their back like Master Chief does. They had to actually sling the rifles as a cosmetic thing. I just thought that would be so cool that Master Chief is the only one that can clip a gun onto his back like that. And it would be cool if the Marines and the ODSTs had to actually use weapon slings. Just a thought, but I love seeing that kind of stuff in the concept art, but you know, it didn't make it into the game. But one thing that you do see here is he's actually got on his helmet, it's like a helmet mount for, maybe night vision or an extra piece of armor like you would see in the customization of Halo Reach. Cool little details. I don't know why he's standing like that. I love his gun, and man, I kind of wish the ODSTs and Marines had to use slings on their weapons. I don't know. Moving on to the next one with this guy, and this guy looks pretty close to the mark, and I believe this is actually the final piece of concept art for the ODSTs in Halo 2 before they actually launch the game. I feel like this is the closest that you could possibly get without it actually being the in-game model. His battle rifle looks damn near correct, and the armor pieces are just, that's ODST armor. They got the chest piece right, the shoulder is the ODST shoulder, the knee and shin guards are consistent throughout all of this. The ODST helmet looks great. He's actually got the camouflage on his clothing beneath his armor, and even on some of his armor pieces it looks like. But I believe this is as close as you can get to the ODST in Halo 2 without it actually being the in-game model. Now, before we actually get to the final look at the ODSTs in-game, I found in my long search for concept art for the ODSTs, I did find some really cool stuff that was not in Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and I want to share some of that with you guys now. This is actually a piece of concept art of Halo 3 ODST where they had their own expansion. They could really dive into the ODSTs, and so I want you to take a look at this guy. And this guy may not look too crazy to you, but when I look at this guy, besides seeing this chest piece that he's wearing that looks very similar to the ODST that we saw in the very first piece of concept art, except painted black, of course, makes me wonder if, you know, we're going to have more different versions of ODSTs than what we saw in the actual expansion. Or I always consider Halo 3 ODST to be an expansion, but it was a standalone game. But either way, but one thing with this that really captures my imagination is this dude's gun. It's some kind of assault rifle, right? You can kind of see the silhouette of it, but let's look at this next piece right here, which you get a better look at the gun that he's carrying. That is a new version of the assault rifle. Now, what's so cool about that is one of my favorite things that Halo 3 ODST added was the ODST specific weapons. The silenced M7 SMG, the silenced Magnum, those guns just made the ODSTs feel like so much more tactical and just cool because they had their own versions of weapons. I thought that was so freaking cool. And to see that they almost had their own version of the assault rifle is so neat. You can see that this thing has a sight. It's stripped down. It looks like from the front, and like I just wonder, like, why couldn't we get this gun in a future Halo game? A more tactical, stripped down version of the assault rifle that has a recon sight on top, maybe even a suppressor eventually. Like, I don't know, but things like that I think would be so cool to eventually add into the Halo sandbox, and to think that they are actually drawing it for Halo 3 ODST is just so freaking cool. Why didn't they finish it? Because that would be so awesome. Hell, even give us an ODST version of the battle rifle. Where is that? Give it a sling. I want slings in Halo, man. That'd be so cool. So yeah, guys, ultimately I found quite a bit of interesting things in my search for concept art for ODSTs pre-Halo 2. It took so long to find what I found, but I'm really happy to be able to share this stuff with you guys. But here we are at the end of the video with our final look at the ODSTs as they appeared in Halo 2. Here they are, guys, the Orbital Drop Shock Troopers from Halo 2 in all of their glory. And I often think about how just badass the ODSTs are and how they're just a fan favorite unit amongst all of the UNSC. And I think one of the reasons so many people love these guys is the fact, just like for the same reason so many people love the Batman, it's because these guys aren't super soldiers. They're not Spartans. They are humans. They are us, incredibly well trained and extremely badass, and that it makes them more relatable at the end of the day. And I feel like that's why so many people like them, is that they can stand toe to toe with Master Chief and just be just as badass, maybe not quite as lethal, but just as cool. You know what I mean? And that's why so many people, I believe, love the Orbital Drop Shock Troopers. And they're awesome. What can I say? And I hope to hopefully get another ODST expansion, hopefully in Halo Infinite. How cool would that be if Halo Infinite we get an ODST expansion and get to play as ODSTs again? That would be awesome. Hopefully they have weapon slings. I feel like when I go to edit this video, I'm gonna laugh every time I hear myself talk about weapon slings, because I know I've talked about them a lot. But either way, guys, here we are at the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you found yourself liking this video, be sure to drop a like on the video, because it helps the video out a ton. It helps the video reach more Halo fans, and I greatly appreciate it. But as I said, that's all I have for this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.